there's a new sheriff in town.
Yeah.
He said, it's my league now.
Yeah.
He said, MJ, you had your turn. Larry Bird, you had your turn. Now it's my league.
I love it.
And we all bowed down. I don't usually talk trash, but I had to that time. So I said, Michael, if you don't turn into Air Jordan, we gonna blow y'all out. Man, he started sweating.
It was hard.
That tongue went long.
LeBron James and Kevin Durant thought they were just sharing a light moment on a podcast until a single comment about Michael Jordan lit the entire basketball world on fire. And when Magic Johnson caught wind of it, he didn't shrug it off. He stepped in fast. Today we're breaking down the exact moment an NBA icon felt forced to defend Jordan's legacy. This wasn't some highlight reel drama. This was one of those rare situations where the loudest explosions happen away from—
You gotta get his back. You gotta get his ass. So get down on that block and get him back. So I threw it to him. He scored. They come back. They scored. We scored. So we were talking stuff. So finally, we got on a little run.
from the court. No buzzer beaters, no trophies, just raw, unfiltered truth spilling out in a relaxed room where legends usually let their guard down. Podcasts, interviews, those chilled conversations where players forget the cameras are rolling, that's often where the real battles start. And on July 9th, 2025, one of those quiet moments turned into a storm. A moment so subtle, so casual, yet packed with enough weight to shake an entire generation of fans. Kevin—
And if you ask me who I would take between Kevin Durant and LeBarbie Diddy James, that's a very complicated question, because one loves attending them Diddy parties, and the other one is a snake that defends himself with Twitter burner accounts.
Durant sat in the studio with LeBron James and Steve Nash for an episode of Mind the Game, LeBron's own show where some of basketball's sharpest minds break down the mental grind of life at the top. The energy was smooth, the stories were flowing, and each of them sounded like veterans who've spent decades chasing greatness with every breath. Then the conversation drifted into something every elite athlete faces eventually: recommitment. That brutally honest inner question: do I still want this life? Can I keep going through these endless seasons? It's the kind of question that pushes even the toughest players to face themselves. And that—
Those boys are trying their hardest, jumping from super team to super team, trying to catch up to my 6 rings. But we all know it's never going to happen.
That's when Durant casually dropped the line that would flip the internet upside down. Every so often you think like, yeah, I'm 10, 12 years in. I've got 4 MVPs and 4 championships, but do I still want to do this? You know what I'm saying? You know how it is. Some people say, I want to go play baseball, and then want to come back, and some want to play 22 straight. The moment the words left his mouth, the air shifted. It was a subtle jab, light enough to pass as a philosophical thought, but sharp enough for everyone to know exactly who he was referencing. That single line carried echoes of a legend's history, and fans instantly felt the tension wrapped inside it. The reference was way too obvious for anyone who knows even the basics of basketball history. When Durant said, "Some people say I want to go play baseball," he wasn't talking in riddles. There's only one superstar who ever walked away from the NBA to pick up a bat. Only one global icon who swapped his jersey for a minor league uniform.
I'm sure you guys got more out of the practices than you got out of the actually playing.
You're right. We practice, man. When you got 10 egos out on that court like
Best
that.
in the world.
Yes, going at each other every single day.
And that was Michael Jeffrey Jordan, the same man many fans still argue is the greatest player to ever touch a basketball. LeBron's reaction? Instant. He let out a laugh people compared to a Dave Chappelle storytelling laugh. One of those deep, knowing laughs that isn't just humor, but acknowledgement. It was the type of laugh that says, I caught that, and that was sharp. That laugh added fuel to something that was already loaded with meaning. In that moment, whether they meant it or not, 2 of the biggest stars of the modern era sounded like they were sharing a slick little joke about the man who built the very throne they've spent their careers trying to reach. And that's exactly where this story twists, because Durant and LeBron might not have expected the reaction that one casual comment would trigger. See, that baseball reference wasn't just about Jordan taking a break from basketball. It touched on one of the most emotionally heavy chapters of his entire life.
Kevin Durant still has 0 rings, if you ask me, because he basically joined the greatest super team in NBA history just so he can finally win a ring. And when you look at Lee Diddy's rings, he won a Mickey Mouse ring in 2020 and another Mickey Mouse ring in 2012 during the lockout shortened season.
On July 23, 1993, Just weeks after Jordan secured his third straight championship, his father, James Jordan, was involved in a tragic incident during a carjacking in Lumberton, North Carolina. It was a loss that crushed Michael in ways the world couldn't fully see. James Jordan wasn't just a parent to him. He was Michael's closest supporter, his guide, his grounding force. Losing him took something out of Michael that basketball alone couldn't fix. So, when Jordan announced his retirement on October 6, 1993, saying he no longer felt the drive to compete, the people closest to him understood the deeper story behind those words. This wasn't about basketball anymore. This was about grief, loyalty, and a son trying to honor the memory of the man who shaped his entire life. People love throwing around jokes, memes, and quick takes, but they forget the real story behind it all. What gets buried under all the noise is simple. James Jordan had always dreamed of his son becoming a baseball player. That dream existed long before the world ever.
He saved his with that three-pointer, so that leaves him with only one ring. And that one ring was because of a Draymond Green suspension. So looking at all of that, Kevin and LeBarbie both have no legitimate rings.
Saw Michael as a basketball legend. So when Michael Jordan signed a minor league contract with the Chicago White Sox, when he stepped onto that field for 127 games in AA ball and hit .202 with the Birmingham Barons, he wasn't running away from basketball. He was running towards something his father had envisioned for him. It was a final tribute to the man who had given him every ounce of support a son could ever ask for. And that is the context missing in that podcast studio on July 9th. That's the emotional weight that wasn't visible to the millions who later watched the clip explode online. When Durant said, "Some people say I want to go play baseball," he wasn't just tossing out a clever comparison about career paths. Whether he meant it or not, he touched something sacred, something way deeper than trophies or records. Within hours, the clip blew up across social media. X, formerly Twitter, turned into a virtual arena with Jordan loyalists and LeBron supporters clashing like it was Game 7 of the finals. Comment sections turned into full-on battlegrounds packed with heated takes, stats, and fans, pulling out old interviews like they were receipts. Some people argued KD's comment was just harmless banter, a playful nod to different stages of an athlete's journey, even highlighting LeBron's incredible longevity. But others felt something completely different. They believed it sounded like a subtle attempt to downplay the depth behind Jordan's choices, while lifting up LeBron's path at the same time.
You know when that tongue come out,
It's over. It's a problem.
he about to do something. Boy, that dude came out that timeout, he scored about 4 straight threes. Ooh. And I went, oh, man.
And then came the viral post that cut deeper than anything else. Some people go through tragedy and choose baseball. Those words hung in the digital air like a challenge, a sharp reminder of what was truly at stake here. This wasn't just another argument about who's the GOAT. This was about respect. This was about recognizing the full story before turning someone's life into a punchline. Skip Bayless, who never misses a chance to jump straight into the fire, came out swinging with his signature intensity. He blasted Durant's comment as pathetic, claiming it exposed Durant's ignorance and insecurity, and he didn't hold back on LeBron either. Skip called LeBron's laugh disgusting, a reaction that some might have thought was exaggerated. But given the emotional weight behind the moment, plenty of fans felt Skip actually had a point. Because what really slipped through the cracks in that playful podcast chatter wasn't just sensitivity toward Jordan's personal history. What got lost was the understanding of what made Michael Jordan's legacy so unreal in the first place. Yes, he retired 3 times. Yes, he stepped away to chase baseball. But he also returned and dominated the league all over again. Jordan came back to lead the Bulls to a 72-win season in 1995-96, a record-breaking run that stood as the greatest regular season record at the time. He stacked 3 more championships, grabbed 3 more Finals MVP.
Oh, he stole the basketball. He coming down the right side. He takes off. David Robinson coming this way. So Mike just cuffed him. And he just looked at
In the air.
And he kept looking. He kept looking. He kept looking. He went all the way down, Jack. He did a 360. Ooh. Bam! I said, that's it. That's it. It's over now.
That's him.
It's over now.
And went a perfect 6 and 0 on the biggest stage, never coming up short when everything was on the line. So when Durant said, "Some people play baseball," it unintentionally created a picture that made Jordan's journey look like it lacked commitment compared to LeBron's Iron Man streak of 22 straight seasons. But that framing ignored a crucial truth. Jordan's greatness was never about how long he played. His greatness was about how completely he owned the moment every time it mattered. His legacy wasn't built on durability. It was built on dominance, on refusing to fold, refusing to fade, refusing to be anything less than the best when the world was watching. As the July clip spread like wildfire and every corner of the internet erupted with arguments, reaction videos, and think pieces, Kevin Durant eventually felt the heat and jumped onto X to set the record straight. The Phoenix Suns star tried to calm the storm, writing, "MJ retired 3 times and still the GOAT. I applaud that. Just like I applaud playing 22 years at an elite level, it's okay to call that out, my brother." He even emphasized that he's a massive MJ fan, bragging that he owns $1 million worth of Jordan sneakers. But by that point, the spark had already caught the gasoline. For a lot of fans, the damage felt done. Durant's clarification landed like a half-step backward, an attempt to shut the door after the whole room had already seen what was inside. You can't rewind a laugh. You can't unsay a moment once millions have watched it, replayed it, slowed it down, and formed their own conclusions. And what made this entire situation explosive was who delivered the joke. This wasn't a random host throwing out hot takes for clicks. This was LeBron James, someone whose entire career has lived under the shadow, the spotlight, and
He
the...
wasn't like that.
You know what?
Y'all wanted to compete.
I wasn't a guy like that.
Yeah.
I never wanted to play with nobody but my dudes.
Yeah.
I was good. And I've always been a dude, wherever I end up, that's who I'm rolling with.
Yeah.
The never-ending comparisons to Michael Jordan. And standing next to him, Kevin Durant, a player whose own legacy has been tangled in endless talk about super teams and decisions that fans still debate today. 2 giants of this generation, 2 future Hall of Famers, and here they were making a remark that came off to many people as diminishing the man widely seen as the greatest ever, all for a quick punchline and a shared laugh. And fans didn't forget that Michael Jordan himself had made a few sharp, sarcastic remarks about them in the past, so the moment instantly felt layered. The stage wasn't just set, it was rigged with dynamite. Because when you take even a playful swing at the king, you better hit clean, or the response is coming. And in the days that followed, the basketball world learned exactly what that meant. This wasn't just backlash, this turned into a full-blown generational clash. For years, the NBA community had been split along one of the most emotional dividing lines in all of sports, Jordan versus LeBron. But Durant's comment cracked that divide wide open and sent the debate into overdrive in a way nobody expected. Former NBA players who usually kept things smooth and diplomatic suddenly felt the need to speak up. Guys who had remained neutral for years, carefully avoiding the political minefield of the GOAT conversation, finally said enough is enough. And when they spoke, they didn't sugarcoat a thing. Kwame Brown, the former #1 pick whose career never matched the expectations placed on him, became one of the loudest voices. In a YouTube video that quickly pulled in over 500,000 views, he unloaded his thoughts with zero hesitation and even less filter. Kwame Brown came at Durant and LeBron with a level of raw, unfiltered energy that only someone who lived through that era could pull off. He didn't hold back. He said straight up that Durant's comment was ignorant, reminding everyone that Jordan won 3 titles in a row, went through a deeply painful family tragedy that summer, and then stepped away in October to pursue baseball, a sport his father had always wanted him to play. And Brown even threw in his own heated phrase calling them smart idiots, to underline how careless he felt the moment was. But Brown wasn't finished. He went after what he saw as the bigger hypocrisy behind their remarks. The idea that Durant and LeBron had room to criticize Jordan's decisions, while their own careers had been surrounded by constant talk about team hopping and avoiding tough situations. Brown labeled them roadrunners, suggesting they moved on quickly whenever adversity hit, choosing to join already powerful teams instead of grinding through challenges to beat them. It wasn't just an attack on their comment, it was a direct shot at the foundation of how they approached the game. Then came Gilbert Arenas, sharpshooter, outspoken voice, and someone who never hesitates to drop a take that cuts deep. He added another layer to the growing pile of criticism. Arenas pointed out something many people overlook in all the quick react content. Jordan didn't simply walk away because he felt like switching sports. There were rumors, investigations, and intense speculation surrounding gambling accusations and how they connected to his father's incident. Arenas reminded fans that Jordan's world at that time was far more complicated than the clean, simple, he wanted to play baseball. story people toss around today. There was pressure. There was grief. There was a level of constant attention that today's players, protected by PR teams, branding managers, and tightly controlled narratives, rarely have to face. Jordan didn't step away because he was bored or burnt out. He stepped away because the weight of fame, loss, and non-stop scrutiny had piled up to a point where even a legend needed to breathe. And then Charles Barkley jumped into the conversation, Jordan's Olympic teammate and one of the most entertaining truth-tellers in sports media. Barkley, who has never been shy about calling things exactly as he sees them, took aim at the part of the modern era that he's always disliked: super teams. With his usual mix of humor and bluntness, he made it clear he wasn't a fan of players joining powerhouse squads instead of battling through competition to beat them. Michael didn't join anybody. He took his hits, came back stronger, and dominated. That's how Charles Barkley put it. And he didn't stop there. He went straight at Kevin Durant, saying, "You, Kevin, haven't been successful anywhere else." A line that immediately brought everyone back to the piece of history Durant can never escape. At the moment Durant chose to join the Golden State Warriors in 2016, right after losing to them in the Western Conference Finals, remains one of the most debated moves in NBA history. He walked into a 73-win team, a squad already loaded and ready-made for greatness. They didn't need him, but with him, they became a force that felt almost unbeatable. And yes, Durant won 2 championships and 2 Finals MVPs there, but the conversation around legitimacy has followed him everywhere since. Barkley's message was simple and brutal. Michael Jordan didn't look for shortcuts. And when the Detroit Pistons beat him again and again, he didn't try to join them. He reshaped himself. He got stronger, tougher, more relentless, and eventually crushed the same team that once left him frustrated on the floor. That became the gold standard for greatness in the NBA. And in Barkley's eyes, Durant and even LeBron have never followed that same path. Then came Steve Kerr, Golden State's head coach and a former Bulls guard who won 3 rings next to Jordan himself. Although his comments came before this drama, they resurfaced and hit even harder amid the chaos. LeBron has been compared to Michael. I don't think he's Michael at all. Kobe has the same mindset as Michael, the assassin. It was subtle, but the impact was massive. Kerr wasn't taking anything away from LeBron's achievements. Everyone knows he's one of the greatest ever, but Kerr was pointing to something beyond stats and accolades. Something intangible. That cold, ruthless edge Jordan and Kobe possessed. That mentality where you didn't just want to win. You wanted to destroy whatever stood in your way. LeBron, with all his greatness, operates differently. He's strategic, collaborative, diplomatic. Jordan and Kobe, they hunted moments with a different hunger. Social media only amplified the divide. As the clip kept spreading, a Yardbarker poll pulled in over 10,000 votes, and 62% sided with Jordan fans, saying Durant's comment crossed a line. The numbers made it clear. This wasn't just a casual debate anymore. This was a generational verdict. This wasn't about blind loyalty to Jordan or some manufactured hatred toward LeBron. Fans felt something deeper, that a line had been crossed. The idea that grief and personal tragedy could be tossed around like casual podcast material struck people the wrong way, and the reaction online exploded instantly. YouTube turned into a frenzy as creators raced to jump on the controversy. Videos with titles like "Michael Jordan Live Blast LeBron and KD for disrespecting him," and "MJ and Charles Barkley just destroyed LeBron," and KD racked up massive numbers, even though Jordan hadn't said a single public word. The demand for reactions was so intense that creators started using AI-generated voices, stitched clips, and edited sound bites to make it seem like Jordan had personally stepped into the ring, even though none of it was real. The internet didn't just want content, it demanded confrontation. But beneath the chaos, something far more meaningful was forming. While fans and former players argued over Durant's comment, one legend had been quietly watching, choosing his moment carefully. And when he decided to speak, he wasn't going to do it through snark, sarcasm, or a post designed for going viral. He was going to speak from experience, something no algorithm or highlight reel could replicate. Magic Johnson had finally heard enough. The Lakers icon understood something that younger fans often overlook. This wasn't just a conversation about stats, rings, or resume comparisons. This was about respect, about understanding what it meant to share the court with Michael Jordan when he was at his absolute best, about witnessing firsthand the intensity and brilliance that made every player rethink who they were the moment they stood across from him. Magic lived through that era. He didn't need documentaries or clips, and he was there. He felt Jordan's rise in real time. And now, as the debate spun out of control, Magic was ready to remind everyone exactly why Jordan wasn't just another superstar. He was a different kind of force entirely. What made Magic's voice so powerful was his unique place in NBA history. He wasn't just a contemporary of Jordan, he was one of Jordan's greatest rivals. These two icons battled at the highest level when the spotlight was brightest. They clashed in the 1991 NBA Finals, Magic's last chance at a title, and Jordan's first moment claiming the throne. Magic didn't just compete against Jordan, he witnessed the birth of an era, and now he was ready to speak. Not out of anger, but out of truth. That series, which the Bulls won 4-1, was more than just a finals matchup. It was a handoff of power in real time. It was the moment when Magic's era officially closed and Jordan's era fully began. And now, more than 3 decades later, Magic was ready to use that experience to defend the same rival who once took the crown from him, pushing back against what he saw as disrespect from a new generation that didn't fully understand what they were playing with. The GOAT debate had always been heated, but this time, it was about to get personal in a way nobody saw coming. Because now it wasn't just fans arguing in barbershops or comment sections, this was a legend stepping directly into the conversation. Magic Johnson enters the arena. There's something different when a legend defends another legend. It hits with a weight no spreadsheet, no highlight reel, no podcast rant can match. When someone who actually battled Michael Jordan on the biggest stage stands up and says, "This is the greatest player I've ever seen," that doesn't sound like opinion, it sounds like testimony. It matters because they're not talking from clips or documentaries or secondhand stories. They're talking from real scars earned in competition, from long nights of trying everything and still realizing it wasn't enough, from the memory of looking across the floor and knowing you were facing something that didn't feel normal anymore, someone who made the game look unfair. That's exactly what Magic Johnson brought with him when he stepped up to the microphone at InvestFest 2025 in Atlanta, sitting down for his appearance on the Earn Your Leisure podcast. The timing couldn't have been more explosive. The KD LeBron podcast moment was still echoing through the basketball world, with people arguing nonstop about respect, legacy, and what it actually means to honor the icons who laid the foundation. Magic wasn't there to chase clicks. He was there to give a masterclass in how legends talk about other legends. So when he was asked the question that has dominated basketball talk for the last 20 years, Michael Jordan or LeBron James, Magic didn't stall, didn't dance around it, and didn't try to please everybody with a safe answer. He said clearly it would have to be Michael Jordan first, then LeBron, then Kareem. But what made his answer truly powerful wasn't just the order. It was the meaning behind it, the lived experience backing every word. Magic didn't just name Michael Jordan the GOAT and walk away. He's painted the scene. He took everybody back in time and showed them exactly why Jordan was different, why his greatness hit on a level that words alone can't capture. Magic didn't rely on stats or charts. He told a story, a moment burned into his memory forever. I'm always going to be honest with myself. Don't get it twisted, I love LeBron. But when Michael Jordan took off with that tongue out, man, Magic's voice had the kind of reverence normally reserved for spiritual moments. Because to him, that's exactly what it felt like. You could hear the respect in every syllable. This wasn't fan talk. This was a man who lived the moment, who was on the court when it happened. Then Magic started describing one specific play from Game 2 of the 1991 NBA Finals, a play that's been replayed millions of times, yet somehow never loses an ounce of its impact. Listen, a lot of you weren't born then. Right hand when we thought we had it. Then he looked at us midair, switched it to the left, tongue out, glass, bucket. Nobody alive has been able to do that. That boy is too bad. The play Magic described as basketball mythology at this point. Jordan driving right, appearing locked down by the Lakers' defense. Then in midair, but with no time, no space, and no margin for error, he switched the ball from his right hand to his left, stretched across the lane, and kissed it off the glass while the entire Lakers team could do nothing but watch. Plays like that break your sense of reality. They make you question what the human body can even do. And Magic wasn't watching from a couch or a YouTube clip, he was there. One of the defenders who could only witness the brilliance up close. Jordan averaged 31.2 points on 56% shooting in that final series. At one point, he hit 13 straight shots, a stretch so absurd it barely sounds real. These weren't empty numbers. These were statements. These were punches thrown at one of the greatest teams the league had ever seen. And Magic, a man who spent his whole career battling legends, understood instantly what he was witnessing. He wasn't just watching another superstar having a good night, he was watching a generational force reveal itself in full power. What made Magic's defense of Michael Jordan so powerful was that he didn't drag LeBron to lift Jordan up. Not completely anyway. Magic made sure to give LeBron his respect throughout the conversation. LeBron is a bad boy too. He's a bad boy, but he's not Michael. And he repeated it with emphasis. Don't get it twisted. I love LeBron, but no. In Magic's language, calling someone a bad boy isn't an insult, but it's respect. It's his way of acknowledging that LeBron James is one of the greatest basketball players to ever step onto a court. But Magic was also drawing a clear line in the sand. Being great is one thing. Being the greatest is another. And in his eyes, only one man sits on that top tier, Michael Jordan. That distinction matters because it highlights the nuance that gets swallowed up in most GOAT arguments. When Magic says Jordan ranks above LeBron, he's not calling LeBron overrated or questioning his accomplishments. He's saying that when you put everything together, dominance, clutch performances, cultural impact, aura, unbeaten finals record, Jordan hits a level nobody else has reached. LeBron has his own lane, his own era, his own legacy carved deep into the league's history. But Magic believes that Jordan exists in a tier that stands alone, and he wasn't done explaining why. Magic's appearance on All the Smoke with Matt Barnes and Steven Jackson offers even more clarity on how he views the hierarchy of greatness when he spoke about the legendary 1992 Dream Team. And his experience playing alongside Jordan, he shared a story that captured exactly why his respect for MJ goes beyond statistics. Magic described a specific moment from a Dream Team practice, and as he retold it, he even physically reenacted the play right there in the interview, showing how Jordan dismantled their defense with a move that left the entire gym stunned. But the real moment came after the play, the one that exposed exactly why Magic believes Jordan is in a class by himself. Magic said that after that practice session, we all bowed down. 4 simple words, but coming from one of the greatest players in NBA history, they carried the weight of a lifetime. Those words told the entire story of how Michael Jordan was viewed by the legends who actually faced him. Not by fans, not by analysts, not by stat keepers, but by the giants who went toe-to-toe with him and walked away understanding they had just witnessed something rare. That was the reverence. That was the impact. That was Michael Jordan. This wasn't bitterness. This wasn't jealousy. It was recognition. Recognition of something that felt bigger than basketball. Magic Johnson, a 5-time champion, 3-time MVP, and the face of the Showtime Lakers, openly acknowledging that Michael Jordan reached a level that demanded respect from everyone, even the legends who came before him. That kind of honesty cuts deep because it comes from someone who actually lived the battles, not someone watching from the sidelines. And that's exactly why the KD and LeBron podcast moment felt so disrespectful to the older generation. In the world Magic, Bird, and Barkley grew up in, there were unwritten rules. Rules about respect, about acknowledging greatness, about honoring the man who once made the entire Dream Team. The greatest group of players ever assembled. Bow down after a single practice. In their era, you didn't casually joke about the man who broke opponents' spirits. You didn't laugh about a moment tied to one of his most personal tragedies. You didn't turn his history into a punchline. Respect wasn't optional. It was the standard, and no one had ever earned that respect through domination quite like Michael Jordan. The reaction to Magic's comments proved that immediately. Clips from the Earn Your Leisure podcast spread like wildfire, pulling in millions of views across every platform. Media outlets like Lakers Nation and Bleacher Report covered it heavily, pointing out that Magic's voice carried rare authority, not just because he was a Jordan rival, but because he also worked with LeBron early in LeBron's Lakers run. Magic had seen both sides of the mountain, but this moment carried something much deeper than rankings or nostalgia. Magic's defense of Jordan became a generational message, a statement about values, about the spirit of competition, about how the game should be played and talked about. When Magic spoke on refusing to join other stars and choosing to face the best instead of teaming up with them, he wasn't just talking about one decision. He was drawing a hard line between his era and the modern NBA super team era. It wasn't petty. It wasn't old head complaining. It was a reflection of a philosophy, a belief that greatness should be forged in adversity, not convenience. By standing up for Jordan, Magic was standing up for an entire basketball identity, one built on rivalry, pressure, accountability, and the hunger to conquer challenges rather than escape them. The message landed heavy because it came from someone who never ran from competition a day in his life. And as the weeks rolled on and the controversy kept simmering, one truth became impossible to ignore. This wasn't about one comment, one joke, or one laugh inside a podcast studio. This was something much bigger. This entire situation became bigger than one podcast moment. It turned into a question about how we honor greatness and whether the legends who shaped the game deserve a level of respect that goes beyond casual jokes. Magic Johnson made his stance crystal clear, and in doing so, he reminded the whole world why Michael Jordan's shadow still stretches across the sport more than 20 years after his last championship. The GOAT debate will never truly end, and that's exactly why it stays alive. But when Magic Johnson, one of the only people on earth who battled Michael Jordan at his absolute peak, says that nobody will ever replicate what MJ did, that lands differently. It carries the weight of real battles, real scars, and real moments where grown men had to accept that they were witnessing something extraordinary right in front of them. LeBron James and Kevin Durant are all-time greats. That's undeniable. Their resumes are legendary, and nothing will ever erase their achievements. But the next time anyone wants to slide in a joke about Michael Jordan's baseball years, they might want to think twice. Because the legends who actually stood across from Jordan, they haven't forgotten what they saw, and they never will. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you hit like, subscribe, share the video, drop a comment telling us what you think, and we'll see you on the next one.